All right, Intermediate Math 3. This is the Period 1 edition, but it applies to both. These are the dates for Period 1. I'm going to push this back to Wednesday, and to Tuesday, October the 13th. Give you a little extra time because I was late getting this up, and the Period 3 yours is already due on Tuesday, the 13th. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. I've already done all these problems in class, pretty much. So these are the ones we did in class. Those are the ones I'm going to go ahead and do for you. You're going to do these on your own. All right, so just use these as examples. They're all done exactly the same way. These two have a remainder, as do these two. The rest don't have a remainder. That doesn't really make it any harder problem. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. We're going to do all these by both synthetic and long division. So we're going to start with long division. So I'm just going to write first and then talk later. Okay, now what you have to simply ask is, what do you have to multiply this by to create 7x to the third? Well, you need a 7 because there's no 7 out here. And we don't worry about this term right now. And then what do you multiply x by to get x to the third? That's going to be x squared. So you go over here. Since it's an x squared term, you put it in the x squared column and you put a 7 there. So just work backwards. If you're not sure, just kind of guess a number for that and then multiply them and see if you come up with that. So 7x squared plus x, remember you add the exponents, squared plus 1 gives you x to the third. And it goes in the x squared column. All right, now you multiply this by this right here. So first you multiply this by this and it goes here. This first term is always going to zero out. Okay, that's always going to come out to be a 0. Now what you do is put a parenthesis around this because you're going to multiply this by 10. And that's going to get you positive 70x squared. However, this minus sign is going to distribute through. It distributed to that. I made that a negative 7x to the third. It's going to make this negative 70x squared. So 74 minus 70, let me close the parenthesis there, is going to give you 4x squared. And then by convention, you just go ahead and write these terms down as well. You just bring them on down right away. Each step, you go ahead and bring whatever terms you have left on down. Okay, you just continue to repeat that. What do you multiply x by to get 4x squared? Well, you need a 4. And x times x will give you x squared, so it's going to be 4x. And you put that in the x column right here. Okay, so 4x times x. 4x times 10 is 40x. But don't forget, you're going to put that in parentheses and put a minus on. You're subtracting all of this. Okay, so this minus this always comes out to be a 0, the first term. And it's 35 minus 40 is negative 5x. And now you bring down the 50. Okay, finally, x, what do you multiply x by to get negative 5x? Well, that has to be negative 5. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. Okay, so that's going to give you negative 5x. And negative 5 times 10 gives you negative 50. And again, this goes in a parenthesis with a negative sign out here. So the negative is a positive. So minus 5x plus 5x goes to 0. And negative 50 minus negative, that's plus 50. Negative 50 plus 50 goes to 0 also. So there's no remainder. You're at the end of the problem. You did your last term there, and you have nothing. So that's your answer. Synthetic division, you take this and put a minus on front of it. So let me go over here. So minus 10. Then you draw an upside down bracket, and you just draw the coefficients that are in your original polynomial. Okay, and then the first one you just pull straight down, 7. Then you multiply this times this, gives you that. Okay, just kind of remember that pattern. Okay, so that's going to give you negative 70. Okay, you subtract, you get 4. Negative 10 times 4, it gives you negative 40. Subtract, you get negative 5. 35 minus 40 is negative 5. And then 10 times negative 5 is positive 50. Negative 50, positive 50 gives you 0. Okay, so you always start the order of the original polynomial is x to the third, so you always subtract 1 from that, put an x squared, and then this first number is the coefficient for that. The next one is x, and this second number is coefficient for that, it's a plus. And then the third number doesn't have any x to it, it's just this. And there's no remainder, so this is your answer, and you get the same answer as you got there, okay? Hopefully by the end of this is just very repetitive. You just get the process. It just takes a little practice because you can see there's a lot of numbers, a lot of terms there. Okay, let's do the next one. See if you can do these on your own. The goal is to get to do them on your own, not just to watch me do them. Okay, so again, forget about the negative 6. And what do you have to multiply n by to get n to the third? And I think you can all see that's n squared. You got to put that in the n squared column. N squared times n is n to the third, so that does go in the n to the third. Again, you're going to put a minus sign here and open a parenthesis. Now, n squared times negative 6 is negative 6n squared. So this minus this always goes to 0. Then this is going to be negative 6n squared. So that's going to be plus 6n squared. So 2 plus 6 is 8. Now we bring down these other terms. Okay, now we're going to do it all over again. What do you multiply n by to get 8n squared? Well, you don't have an 8. You don't have an 8, so you have to have an 8 there. So it's going to be an 8. And then n times n would give you n squared. So n, 8n. 8n times n will give you 8n squared. All right, and it's a positive, by the way, so we put a plus sign there. Okay, so now you have 8n times n is 8n squared. Let's go ahead and put our parenthesis and our minus sign out here. And then 8n times negative 6 is negative 48n. Close the parenthesis and subtract. So this minus this always goes to 0. Okay, this is negative 48n. That's positive 48n. So that's plus 6n. All right, now you bring down the 36. All right, now it gets easier and easier. What do you multiply n by to get 6n? That would be 6. 6 times n is 6n. Okay, and 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. So 6n minus 6n is 0. And the negative minus negative becomes a plus. So negative 36 plus 36 is also 0. I'm off screen, sorry. And there you go. You got no remainder. So there's your answer. Now synthetic, you take the opposite of this, reverse it. It's a plus 6. And just write the coefficients. No coefficient means it's a 1. Okay. Pull the first one down. And now you just, that times that gives you that. So that's going to give you 6. All right, and this is a plus, by the way. I should have emphasized that on the last one. Unlike over here where it's a minus, it's a plus. You're adding. So 2 plus 6 is 8. 6 times 8 is 48. Negative 42, 48 is positive 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Negative 36 plus 36 is 0. So there's your coefficients. It's a cubic. It's a cubic, so that means your answer is going to be 1 power less than that. So it's going to be a 2, n squared. And there's the first coefficient. You don't have to write it, but it's a 1. Next is 8n. You just subtract 1 from that exponent to get 8n. Subtract a 1 again, and you don't have any n, so it's just 6. Okay, so there's the answer. There's the answer. So you do it both ways. It's a way of checking your work. Okay, here we're going to do number 3 and number 4. There we go. All right, so let's just go ahead and write this out. Again, the value of this is not that you're ever in life going to divide polynomials. It's developing just your math and algebra skills, your sense of how many times does this number go into that, doing the multiplications, doing the divisions, getting good at that. Because algebra is something you might use in life, depending on what your profession is. Okay, here we go. Would I multiply x by to get x to the third? That would be x squared. X squared times x is x to the third. You add the exponents. So it's going to be x squared right there. X squared times x is x to the third. We're going to parenthesis and a negative sign. X squared times negative 4 is negative 4x squared. Close the parenthesis. So this minus this goes to 0. And negative becomes a plus. So x squared plus 4x squared is 5x squared. Okay, what do you multiply x by to get 5x squared? It would be 5x. Negative in parenthesis. Okay, and so 5x times x is 5x squared. I should have said that. And then 5x times negative 4 is negative 20x. By the way, when I finish the subtraction, I should pull down these terms. And even that one, even though I'm not going to use it on this particular iteration. Okay, so these two always cancel. Negative 20 is positive 20, so minus 19 plus 20 is x. Okay, so now what do I multiply x by to get x? I multiply it by 1. 1 times x is x. Parenthesis negative sign there, and 1 times negative 4, and I should have brought the negative 4 down. I forgot to do it there, I forgot to do it there. I should have done it both places. Negative 4. Okay, so x minus x is 0. Negative 4 minus negative 4 is negative 4 plus 4 is 0. So again, no remainder. So there's your answer, x squared plus 5x plus 1. Take this term, the negative 4, make it a positive. Draw an upside down bracket. Write your coefficients. It's a 1, 1, negative 19, negative 4. Okay, remember it's a plus sign. Go ahead and write a plus sign there to remind you of that. So pull the 1 down. 4 times 1 is 4. Add those together, you get 5. 4 times 5 is 20. Add those together. You think of it, it's easier to think of 20 minus 19 is 1. 4 times 1 is 4. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. Okay, it's an x to the third, so the first term on our answer is going to be x squared. There's the 1 plus 5x. Next term, you subtract 1 from the exponent. There's the 5 plus, there's no more x, it's 1. So there's your answer, and it matches with your answer up there. Okay, let's keep going. I'm just going to be quiet. Okay, and I'll write this quickly. Okay, so I stumbled a little bit there on the negative signs. Be sure you got those right. Okay, there you go. There's your answer up there. All right, make this positive. Come over here. Okay, same answer both places. All right. We are moving on to number 11 now. Number 11 is going to have a remainder that's really not any more complicated. It's just one little additional step. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do it again. I'll do it again quietly until the very end when we get the remainder. So 7 minus 10 gives you -3. So that's your remainder right there. So simply the remainder is shown by putting the remainder over the divisor. Put a plus sign in front of it. If there happened to be a minus sign there, just go ahead and put a plus anyway. And then you can, in parentheses, put -3 over the divisor, x minus 2. You can do it like that, okay? So I'd always put a plus sign there, and if it's a negative number, just put it in parentheses like that. Okay, so that's that. Let's go ahead and do it the synthetic way. So again, we start with this. Change the sign to a positive. Put a plus sign there. Cubic, so x squared is 5. And then you go ahead and put the plus sign, parenthesis, -3, and now you have to come back here and get the actual divisor. It's x minus 2. Okay, you can't just use that. Okay, and that takes care of that. All right, I'll do one more for you here, and then you're going to do 6, 13, and 14. They are all done exactly the same. Okay, so we ended up with a remainder of 7. So over here you put plus, and I'd still put it in parentheses, just to make it a standard way of writing it. Okay, remainder over divisor. Okay, synthetic, we change that to a positive. Bring this down. Cubic, so we make it a squared. Over, and you got to go back and get the actual divisor there. And that's that. Okay, so that takes care of that. So your mission in the next day, sorry these were late, but again, you only have to do 3 on your own, is to do number 6. This is U. And numbers 13 and 14. These two on this page. 13 and 14 is U, and 14 down here is U, and that's it, okay? So they're all not very hard after you've done 6 of them. All right, that's it. We'll see you in class.